I think the police, the Metropolitan Police, should be absolutely congratulated on this. It was mentioned there about 72 hours, but you're literally looking for a needle in 100 haystacks, aren't you? Trying to find a person who is in London. So I just think it's refreshing that there is some good news, and the Commissioner and his officers can be absolutely congratulated on this good work.
So, Mike, the boys and girls on the ground have done a good job, but tracing this catastrophe back to Wandsworth, what kind of questions do you think will be asked of the prison system, placing somebody as high risk as Daniel Khalife in a Category B prison with a history of breakouts?
Absolutely, and not only that, you've got somebody who's suspected of terrorist offences being put in a kitchen full of knives. It just seems absolutely crazy to me. So, one, which he was in the wrong prison, and secondly, appears to be in the wrong job there. But I think the key thing now is that they'll be trying to establish how he got out, what collusion, what visitors may have helped him. Did corrupt officers help him? Did other prisoners help him? How did he get out? Because I think the public will be demanding answers, because once the police have arrested a terrorist and they've done a good job dealing with him and get him in so he's remanded in prison, I think the public will be outraged that he can simply, scurry out under the bottom of a lorry. It's like something you'd expect on an episode of Porridge rather than what should be happening in real life.
Indeed, and Mike, big questions to be asked now about the kind of information that Daniel Khalife had harvested, known to have had his eyes on secret UK eyes-only intel. This is highly sensitive information about British armed forces, about our communications equipment, about our cryptographic methods. Is this now a case for the military to investigate its own? Is it a police matter, or is it a secret services matter? What happens next in as far as trying to find out what Daniel Khalife knew and who he told?
Well, I'm sure all that has already been thoroughly investigated. The police will take the primary role as the counter-terrorism units, but of course they'll be assisted by military experts and the Secret Service to get that information. But I think that inquiry's already been done, and he's been charged and held in custody. I think the key inquiry now will be how he got out of there and who helped him, because the public have got to be assured that if terrorists are held in prison, then they're very, very securely held and can't just drive out of the place.
And Mike, politically and moving forward now, law and order is almost certain to become a battleground between the Labour Party and the Conservative Party. 'Twas ever thus. What would you like to see happening next? We've had Peter Bleksley, we've had Norman Brennan, we've had Kevin Hurley talking about the paucity of police officers, the absence of numbers, the boots on the ground. Is this a time for those conversations? We need to ramp up law and order, because this is the inevitable consequences of austerity and cutting short.
Absolutely, and I think there are some police numbers, they've come back, but the trouble is that the vast majority of officers are very inexperienced. When I was a young PC, there was officers on the shift with me who had 20 years in the police. Now if somebody's got 4 and 5 years, they're the sort of veteran. So that's going to take a long time to get through. I think the Home Secretary is saying all the right things, getting the police to focus on crime, but until the focus moves away from sort of diversity and other things like that, people just don't care who the officers are, what sex or sexuality or colour they are. The public just want a better service from the police. They want the sort of professionalism that we've seen in the search and arrest of Khalife. They want to see that when their house gets burgled, their shop gets plundered by a load of looters, they're threatened with sexual assault or they're attacked on the street. People want to see the professionalism we've seen today in every case when they need the police's help. And with only 5% of burglaries being solved, 1% of thefts, this is why the public lose confidence in the police, because they don't think that the criminals will be caught, and that has to change.
And Mike, £20,000 was on the table for the apprehension of Daniel Khalife. Bit of bribery with the public helped in the end. But in terms of restoring that key relationship between the police and the community, do you think this case will help that?
I think so, because it just shows what, I was proud to be a Scotland Yard detective, and the words Scotland Yard were famous throughout the world as the best policing, the new innovations. And I just think the public will see this, and it'll make a refreshing change to think, those British bobbies, the commissioner and all his officers on the ground, they've done a really good job. And I think it will help. But what happens is, in your everyday life, too many people are reporting a burglary to get a crime number so they can claim the insurance. They're not reporting the burglary in any hope that the villain will be caught and their property will be recovered. And that must change. That's what will gain the police confidence and trust, that the public know that if they need the police will do a good job, investigate crimes and catch criminals and make them safer.